Welcome back. We are going to be talking about Writers Workshop Basics Continued, and this particular section we are going to talk about the environment of the classroom. This includes the space and the materials that are present. You'll need a meeting area, even for older kids, like a circle time area that you might consider for kindergarten or preschool. You'll want a large group meeting area for first, second, and third graders too. And you can see in the image on this screenshot is of two students sharing their informational text that they have created. And this is during the publishing process. And the bottom picture is what a meeting area could look like. You'll also need to consider your materials. You'll want plenty of storage bins, things like paper, pencils, markers, scissors, staplers, anchor charts, which we'll look at more of in a minute, and materials to support the writing process. So you'll want pens, writing folders, a writing notebook and drafting folders, a teacher's notebook and folder, paper choices. Kids are highly motivated by fancy paper choices, so the more you can acquire, the better. Different charts, like I said, the first slide had an anchor chart or a mentor text that draws students' attention to whatever purpose you're working towards, and things like staplers, tape, revision strips, etc. And make sure that you teach them how to use those materials before you put it out. Otherwise, you will have mayhem. So here is an anchor chart that shows the structure of Writing Workshop. I love this because it is a graphic illustration of the structure of what Writers Workshop could look like. And you can hang this up in your classroom as a visual reminder for yourself, but also for the students. And we're going to break down the parts of Writers Workshop as we go here. But there's always going to be a setup and a routine, a mini lesson, independent writing time, and time to share. And so as you're working on your lesson plans, which you've already turned in number 2, maybe you think about the structure of your lesson plan in this way too. So do you have specific instructional time around setup routine, around your mini lesson, which we'll break down in a minute, what independent writing time looks like, and what publishing looks like? Can you break that down into a lesson plan? So the setup and routine, here are some anchor charts or mentor texts, whatever you prefer to call them, on the setup routine. So this is specifically for students. How can you prepare for writing? 1, get your materials, put the date on your work, think about your plan or goal, quietly move to the meeting area, and read over previous work. So it's kind of prepping them, getting them ready for the writing process. And here's another example. Grab your tools. This one has more pictures. Grab your tools, grab your writing folder, decide what you're going to write, and head to the meeting area. The mini lesson is an important part of your writer's workshop. So you should have one clear teaching focus that's stated multiple times. You cannot express your teaching objective enough. You should be restating that many, many times as you go so the children are hearing it and they're able to articulate it back to you. The mini lesson should really only last 8 to 12 minutes. Think about their attention span and how much information they can really retain in that amount of time. It has 4 parts: the connection, the teaching, the active engagement, and the link. And so the connection is students get the chance to learn why today's instruction is important to them as writers and how the lesson relates to their prior work. The teaching point is stated: yesterday we did this, I noticed, and today I want to teach you this. And honestly, you can state it as simple as that. Yesterday we did this. This is what I noticed. That's the connection. And then today I'm going to teach you this. And then you actively engage. And then you teach. So during the teaching, this is explicit direct instruction. The teacher shows the students how writers go about doing what is being taught. We may teach by demonstrating. Modeling is excellent as long as you're very explicit in your modeling, and you model how and when writers use a strategy or concept in their work rather than simply telling them what to do. Think about that I provided you an example of a lesson plan rather than just telling you the parts of the lesson. Like you need to see what it looks like. So think about it like that. Kids need to see what the writing process looks like. It needs to be modeled for them. You can explain and show an example. You can involve the class in a shared inquiry, like walking through the steps together, or take them through guided practice. So watch me, or today I will show you. And then the active engagement. So after you teach something, the students get the chance to quickly practice what has just been taught or to share notice things about the demonstration in order to understand and kind of think about writing that they can try in their own work. And so you say something like, now it's your turn to try, or turn to your partner, but this is providing an opportunity to actively engage while you're still in a structured setting in the mini lesson. And then you link. And so this is when you reiterate what has just been taught. Remember how I said you have to keep coming back to that learning objective. You can state it as many times as you need to. You want that to sink in. You add it to students' growing repertoire of skills. Students are reminded that today's lesson pertains not only to today, but to every day, and to strengthen their writing for a specific unit of inquiry. So you say things like, today and every day we will practice this. Off you go. Now it's your turn to try. And then it's independent writing time. And so here are some examples of anchor charts that show what independent writing time looks like. What do you notice on the right? Gee, that looks like the 5 stages of writing, doesn't it? So having these types of anchor charts allow students to come back to some of the skills that you have taught them intentionally. And I used to tell students, if they would come to me and ask a question before trying to find the answer themselves, I would say, where's your resource? What could you look to? Where can you find the answer? Right, let's go look at the anchor chart. What's it say? And it just provides them some clues and some assistance. And then the final part is the share. So at the end of Writer's Workshop, which could be at the end of the week, it might not be every single day that you do the share out. We did this once a week in my classroom. And at the end of workshop, the writers come together to culminate the work, and the teacher may highlight the work of one student, or retell a conference, or prepare for the next workshop session. Students may reflect on their work with a partner or a table group. It's really up to you how you decide to share, and it could take many forms throughout the course of your week or throughout the course of your school year. You may also choose to include a daily edit focused on grammar or conventions, especially if you've been working on specific morphemes or grammatical structures. You might want to come back to something specific that you noticed in someone's writing, not calling them out specifically, but maybe it's a common error that students have made. Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk about the writing process for the primary grades. So take a break, go to the bathroom, grab a soda. I'll be back.